It's the Big East against the A-10, Providence-UMass from Providence, Rhode Island. Dunkin Donuts Center, John Sadak, the coach. Steve Lapis, glad to be with you for some holiday hoops as we break down our AT&T fast analysis of the elements to watch for today. And we begin with Providence, the man that head coach Ed Cooley calls the most underrated in the country, LaDontae Henton.
Well, you better keep an eye on LaDontae Henton, a very versatile player. He can put the ball on the floor, he can shoot threes, he's become a tremendous scorer and Cooley's first recruit. Then you have Caddy Lane, who's been terrific for 4 years for UMass. More of an inside player, but he can pop out and knock out an occasional three.
Here are the starting lineups. Chris Dunn did not practice yesterday. He was pounding orange juice, leads the Big East in assists and steals, a McDonald's All-American. Trey Davis, the shooting down this year, coach, on his career outstanding.
But he's more important today because he has to not turn the ball over against this Providence team. And then on the other hand, Chris Dunn has been terrific for Providence, especially lately, and he's been hurt most of the last 2 years, really starting to come into his own.
And shoulder surgeries in consecutive years. Derek Kellogg, now in year number 7, led UMass to 24 wins a year ago in the first tournament appearance in 16 years for his alma mater. A Springfield, Massachusetts product, not all that far away from Amherst, while Ed Cooley, he's right here in his hometown. He grew up in Providence, went to Central High School, 2-time Rhode Island Player of the Year. His Friars last year, 23 wins, won the Big East tournament, and made their first splash in the dance in a decade.
He looks like about 20 years younger. He lost over 100 pounds. He looks terrific.
Here are our officials for this game. Brian Kersey normally works ACC games. He had the UConn-Duke game earlier this week. Jeff Clark out of the Big East, Earl Walton out of the A-10. And worth noting that Providence has a change to its lineup with Ben Bentel, the freshman out of Wilmington, Delaware, getting minutes. It's Henton on the drive. Offensive. 12 seconds in, coach.
That was pretty good by UMass. Derek Kellogg, very good scouting, knows Henton really likes to go left, especially on the drive. They were ready, waiting for him. That's why it was a charge.
John Sadak, Steve Lapis, on the heels of the beginning of this Holiday Hoops Showcase. Great finish in the Division II ranks. Glad to have you here in New England.
Providence, in general, will start man-to-man, but then they'll use their matchup zone for a lot of the game. And UMass, Jabari Hines in the game, Seth Berger, we didn't get a chance to talk about yet, being hurt with a stress fracture in his foot.
And we see the double collapse upon Caddy Lane. He has seen a lot more of that this year. No more Chaz Williams and the outside shooting down.
Well, you know, when I was at Villanova, we had a kid named Jason Lawson who was a terrific player. In his junior year, he had a great year. We had Kerry Kittles and Eric Evers on the wings, two of the best shooters in the country. UMass not shooting the ball well from three. That hurts Caddy Lane.
And Henton, despite the early foul, still aggressive. A couple of passes. Transition's been a problem for UMass.
And one thing about Providence, especially in this building, they want to push it up and get this crowd into the game and get some easy baskets.
Right down the paint, knocked from behind and a foul. Chris Dunn, Gatorade Player of the Year in his native state of Connecticut. Here are the keys to the contest. These are big ones for you.
Well, for UMass, they can't turn the ball over. They're averaging 14.5 turnovers a game. They can't do that on the road. And for Providence, they've got to keep UMass off the line. UMass leads the nation in free throw attempts. They make 21 out of 29 a game. You've got to keep them off the line, and here's where they are right away.
And this is one of their better free throw shooters. Hines, the West Virginia transfer, connects at an 83% clip, but missed the first and misses the second. Bentel getting his first start.
I like the Providence young players. Really good.
The Rosers spinning with the right hand.
You know, that's a bonus. They need to try and establish him in the low post. That will really help. Goes to his left shoulder every time.
The kick and the three, not there for Davis. Career 37% outside shooter, top 10 in program history. This year at 30%. Dunn's forced leaner falls short. Gordon, give him that free throw line jumper. He doesn't call bank, but it goes for two.
You know, here's a kid who hasn't made a three in the last 2 years, and he's such a good player because of all the little things that he does, and he scores inside a lot.
done handling here, Coach, but there are times that he's gone to an off-guard look this year.
Yes, absolutely.
Oh, he can create, but Caddy Lalane can deny.
That's a big-time block by Lalane, who is a terrific shot blocker. And like most great shot blockers, he knows to come over at that last second, and he can let the shooter go up and then get off the floor. He's very quick off his feet.
Second in the Big East. That's now 25 blocks. Timer ticking at 7. Lindsay out of the corner. And a second look for the Friars.
You do see a big difference in size. The perimeter players of Providence much taller than the perimeter players of UMass. Hines, Trey Davis, small, guarding guys that are pretty big.
Lalane stripping it free from DeRozers. Gordon the trail to Lalane! Gets in the air in 2 hands and a technical foul.
And it absolutely was a technical foul. I was just going to get the words out of my mouth that should be a technical foul. The referee let the first one go, and then when he did the chin-up, they had to call the technical foul. This is a good call. Right here, that's fine. But when the knees, that last part, when the knees went up in the air, he just asked for it there. He could have easily come down right then and gotten away with it, and he didn't do it.
You can see the exasperation on the face of Derek Kellogg. It's Hinton at the line who misses. That's a 76% shooter.
Well, that's a very exasperating play for a coach because it's clear in the rule book you can't do that. Now it's one thing if somebody were underneath him and he had to do a chin up, that'd be a different story. There's nobody there. That's exasperating for a coach. And really, as a senior, Caddy Lalane should know better.
They have 2 great big guys in Lalane and Esho, but they're not that deep, so to pick up a foul could have impact as well.
Yeah, even though that does not count as a personal foul on that one, which is good for him. If it was an unsporting technical, it would be a personal foul. That is not an unsporting.
UMass known for some full court pressure. This looked like a softer version.
And that's what Derek Kellogg told us before the game. He was going to try and use that more because the one thing he didn't want to do was let this crowd get into it by Providence getting easy baskets in transition.
Cartwright attacking. DeRozers back to the basket. Out of bounds. Grays on the end line. Providence possession.
Yeah, he stepped on it.
Now, Providence has gotten some decent looks here, Coach, but the Friars have now lost their last 5 field goal attempts that they've misfired on.
I think the key is what kind of looks they're getting. Ed Cooley has to be happy with the quality of the shots. And I think as a coach, that's how you have to evaluate whether your offense is good, bad. If you're getting the kind of shots that you want, whether they're going in or not, that's usually pretty good.
Dangerous ball. Providence maintains possession on a bit of a risky pass. Hinton. DeRozier's making a living down low.
Yeah, I mean, Caddy Lalane averages almost a double-double for the season. He's got to do a better job on the defensive glass.
DeRozier's attacking Lalane. And gets the foul. That's too early on Lalane.
That is not good for UMass. And clearly, Ed Cooley going into DeRozier, and this is a guy who only averages 7 points a game. Not much of a foul there either.
So this counts as his first personal, but he's been whistled twice. The other, the technical on the dunk, DeRozier's converts. DeRozier's a Wake Forest transfer. Started the Boston College game with 15.
I like what Derek Kellogg does with Lalane, which is after he gets his first, especially early in the game, get him out. You don't want him picking up that second right away. And now you're hamstrung for the entire half.
And as it is, offensive rebounding favors the Friars 5-love. So insert Tyler Bergantino, the 6'9", 250-pound junior. He's number 11 on the near block. show. Providence crashing the glass brilliantly. Prior ball to timeout on the floor. DeRozier's battling with Lillane. They've owned the glass, and Providence, in the early stage, owns a 7-4 edge.
Stay in the game and drink responsibly.
Holiday hoops here in Providence. The big guy, St. Nick here himself. A 7-4 score. Providence edging UMass, out rebounding the Minutemen 8-1. Take a look at the history between the two teams, brought to you by Bud Light. What will happen next? The series started, Coach, back in 1932. It's the third straight year they meet. You see the two-point finish in overtime last year. The same thing occurred the year before down in Puerto Rico.
Offensive rebounds both times. Last year, Derek Gordon making a tough follow at the buzzer. So Ed Cooley's going to have his guys thinking box out. Here's that 2-2-1 soft press that Derek Kellogg told us about. Try to make Providence eat up some of the clock. Now they fall back into a man-to-man. Most of the time, after that press, people fall back into a zone.
Pascal Chukwu in the far corner getting his first minutes. One of the many heralded freshmen for this Friar team. Dunn gets triple teamed and denied. Swatted away by Bergantino. Bergantino screens. Maxi Esho, very athletic. Raised in the corner by Cartwright. Goes off Jabari Hines.
And here's a classic example of Maxi Esho leaves his feet and doesn't really know where to pass the ball. Now he can't change his mind because he's up in the air, and he throws the ball. A tough pass for Jabari Hines, and it goes out of bounds. You always tell kids, do not leave your feet to pass the ball, especially that far away from the basket. Now, if you're near the basket, that's a different story. At least you're trying maybe to shoot the ball. But to do it that far out, big mistake.
Providence dealing with the pressure rather well. Kyron Cartwright brought the ball up on that occasion. He's gotten some true point time when he shares the floor with Dunn.
10 points, 10 assists in the last game against Stony Brook for the freshman. Not a good shooter, but he does a lot of things right for you. And here's Providence in their flex offense that Al Skinner used to run at BC so effectively. Ed Cooley was his assistant for many years.
4 to shoot. Henton falling away for 2. UMass ball.
His shots have been very tough so far in this game.
Davis twisting into a J. The twine snaps. UMass gets a much-needed bucket. Shot not there for Cartwright, but Benzel, who has an incredible body, 6'8", 230 for a freshman.
He has a great body, and Providence on the offensive glass has been murdered. 6 offensive rebounds in 6 minutes of this game.
See the number there, 4.5 minutes without a field goal. Make Providence 0 for 9 in that time as we get a foul.
2 for 10. They've missed 8 shots. They've retrieved 6 of those 8 shots already.
Here's a bit of a line change that includes the insertion of Tyler Harris, who had been a regular starter, the NC State transfer. He's off the bench for the first time this season. Henton, the iron kind. And a travel on Dante Clark, a freshman that you're very high on.
I'm very high on him. I think he's a very talented kid, going to be a good player. Just he has a tendency, as a lot of freshmen do, to make that kind of mistake, just going too quickly. Take your time, get in the flow. Freshmen tend to play better at home than they do on the road, even good ones.
4-star recruit. He was a non-qualifier at UMass last year, but has true freshman eligibility. Only a 9-6 score. DeRozier's threading the needle to Harris. Harris wanted it more than the lane, and so many point-blank looks not there. They get a little greedy as Lindsey reached.
Yeah, that was a pretty good play, Tyler Harris. He said a nice down screen and showed up. Look at him here, get great post position on a guy much smaller than him. Derek Gordon really has to try and get in front on that. They were very lucky to get away, not giving up a basket there.
Foul on Jalen Lindsey. Hesitant three, an ugly look. Zach Coleman. 0 for 9 from outside this year, the man who first committed to Mizzou.
Not the kind of shot that you want a guy who's 0 for 8 going into that shot taking on the road.
Davis aggressive on the much larger dunk.
A lot of baseline cuts in this offense.
The double comes, he splits through it, somehow passes it to himself essentially, and misses the point-blank rim rocket. Kick ball. It seems like both teams have had a tough time establishing rhythm. While Providence is getting good looks, it's not finishing, and UMass is having trouble holding on to it.
Yeah, you know, I think that's a great point. Providence has gotten a lot of good looks, missed some point-blank shots. UMass not getting the same quality looks.
Davis, no. In transition, Henton, splash.
And look what happened there. The ball went from the left side of the floor to the right side of the floor in transition. That becomes very difficult to guard, but UMass a bit asleep at the switch there in transition.
It was a major problem in the rout against LSU, a talented team when healthy. The lane could seal, but on the floor first.
Let's take a look here. Now, stop it right there. Already the most dangerous guy on the floor, LaDontae Henton, nobody sees him. There's no talk, and you can't lose him. Instead, they lose the most important guy on the floor, and you'll see the ball get reversed to the other side, and they score.
And here it's Henton who gets it upon entry, ahead to Dunn, 2-on-1. Alley-oop, put it down, Jalen Lindsey. Derek Kellogg wants timeout. We'll step aside. Providence starting to pull away. A 14-6. Providence running the floor. Chris Dunn, alley-oop. Jalen Lindsey goes and gets it. One of the many star freshmen for Providence, part of a 10-2 Friar spurt that prompted a UMass timeout.
Ed Cooley very high, as I said earlier, on this freshman class. Lindsey being one of them, and now Providence goes to the zone.
Providence went away from that zone a bit when it had trouble rebounding in its last couple of games. But today, that's not been an issue. In fact, DeRozier's has 5 rebounds. UMass has 4 as a team.
I mean, it's such a magic. Oh, they showed zone and went man-to-man, by the way.
Time out of the floor. End-line pressure on Esho. Friars, 6-1 at home this year, up 14-6. Holiday hoops in Providence. Friars lead the Minutemen 14-6 moments ago. And Cooley addressed his team.
Yo, keep our energy. Whatever he calls, man, y'all got to get to it faster.
Plug the screen. We got to keep rebounding both ends.
Keep
One
our
and done.
energy.
Remember to tag when a shot goes up.
Yo, this is a time
Tag.
to step on there. Yo,
Tag when a shot goes up. Hey, I want to go elbow down right now. Zipper up.
One of the game's best. He inherited a 12-win team the year before he arrived, had been at Fairfield, and last year led the Friars back to the dance in a 23 wins.
Well, this guy has done a tremendous job here. Win the Big East tournament last year for the second time in the history of Providence. I know him for a lot of years. Tremendous recruiter, and when he was with Al Skinner, he recruited so many guys that were under the radar. Craig Smith, that ended up becoming NBA players that nobody wanted. Did a great job there.
Some issue on the pass, and Esho can't quite handle, poked by Harris. Nice job of making something out of little.
I do want to say something about that huddle. You notice LaDontae Henton the senior, did a lot of the talking in the huddle there. That's what you need. That's important to do, to have that kind of leadership from your senior.
Ed Cooley said he might be the most underrated player in America.
Well, here's a guy from Lansing, Michigan, that Michigan State didn't want. I think if they look back now, the way his kid developed, they'd have taken him.
And he was good, too. Runner-up for Mr. Basketball, 2,000-point scorer.
Tom Izzo doesn't miss on many, if any. And then again, we say he missed. How about the guys he had? Maybe he didn't need them.
I think the depth was pretty strong as we get a jump ball with 5 on the timer.
We'll put it this way. Though the kid could play at Michigan State, I'm going to guess that Tom Izzo is not lamenting the fact, because I think he did pretty good in the meantime.
Only 5 to shoot here. Lane way outside. Davis, a shooter. Floats at free throw line. Bad miss.
You know, the rebounding has been a huge factor in this game. Ed Cooley said to keep rebounding. He was right about that.
Harris, perhaps a force.
Yeah, I'm going to say that Ed Cooley did not like that shot.
Clark shouldered by Harris. It's a decent-sized crowd here, and yet it's been a fairly quiet one. This game has flowed in a very odd fashion.
Well, you know, considering that Providence is up 14-6, it has been. I've been to this place. This place was a house of horrors for me when I was coaching at Villanova. Very tough place to play. I came in here with some teams that were in the top 10, and we had a rough day.
Straight away. UMass's strength not outside shooting, and still we've seen a lot of those looks done. Rejected by Clark.
Wow. That was a big-time block for the Frenchman.
Nice feed. Esho, he can elevate. That time just floated it up. Henton against Lane. Oh, sweet move. Can't defend that.
Now there's where being left-handed in the low post helps, kind of catches you off guard. Caddy Lane having usually guarding right-handed guys down there.
On the kick, Davis can't hit it. Playground attempt. Dante Clark.
Now this is a big-time block. Chris Dunn loses his footing a little bit. I mean, that's getting up there.
Listed at 6'4".
And Providence, they showed zone, then they go man-to-man, so they've been kind of messing with UMass a little bit.
A lot of three-point looks. This time, Esho misfires.
Yeah, I mean, this team shoots 29% from the three-point line. Providence is forcing them out on the perimeter.
DeRozier's gets the space, can't hit it. Lane harassed by DeRozier's. Off the spin, Davis. Esho's putback denied. Henton seemingly wants it more, and here's a foul after absorbing a lot of contact.
I think Providence's overall size has really hurt UMass in this game, because we talked about how Trey Davis is a little undersized, Jabari Hines a little undersized. So I think overall Providence a much bigger team than UMass.
This Providence club 8-3, 6-1 at home. While UMass enters 6-4, the Minutemen have dropped 3 of 4, and they are winless in road games this year. Full court man pressure. Cartwright, point guard out of Compton, California. Tachuku. He practices so well. Ed Cooley very high on the long, tall big guy.
Great catch there. One thing you want to see with big guys is hands. That was a very good catch by Chuku there. He reminds me a little bit of the kid Grima at UConn, who also was very raw last year. You see this year had a 40-point game against Coppin State. I'm not saying he's like that. Grima's a little stronger.
Harris converting. UMass another timeout, the second called in this first half.
The defense and the rebounding right now is a huge factor for Providence. UMass not getting anything good. Here's an example. They've taken 14 shots and 6 of them have been from the three-point line. That's a great catch. Gets it with the one hand, pulls it in, and lays it in the basket.
Harris on the break. Part of a 16-4 Friars run. Former NFL Ironman London Fletcher joins Brandon Tierney and Nina Marks and Amy Trask as they get you ready for Sunday's action. That other pregame show tomorrow morning, 9 Eastern, only on CBS Sports Network, the 24-hour home of CBS Sports. So if you're UMass coach, how do you reverse these trends of shot selection?
Well, first of all, you got to rebound. I think that's where it starts. You got to box out, make everybody cut, but they're very small. I mean, I think they're trying, but even the guys with size. Maxi Esho, he's an athletic kid. He's 6'8", but he's much thinner than the Providence kid. So I think Providence is out physically them right now. So they got to box out, get rebounds, and be a little more patient on offense, I think, and get off the three-point line.
And that's where, even though his numbers offensively weren't huge, Seth Berger's loss might have an impact. Quick outside look from Gordon.
I think they're settling for the first thing they find that looks like they're open. They got to be a little more patient.
Acrobatic finish. The gap feels like it widened so dramatically.
They better be careful.
Another three. This time Zach Coleman, that's his first make of the season in 10 such tries.
I'm going to say that was one that you probably didn't want if you're Derek Kellogg, but you're really happy it went in.
And you see on the graphic the first make in 8 tries on the game for UMass.
They've got to box out.
Wide open, Hinton has it pop free.
Better job there.
Hines weaving, slapped hard by Chuku. And then a silly foul on Harris near midcourt. Timeout on the floor.
I think Chuku trying to break the backboard here.
Providence doubling up UMass 22-11 Holiday Hoops here on CBS Sports Network as we take a look inside the numbers, brought to you by Sonic. The numbers not pretty, Coach Levis.
Well, besides being 5 for 17 for UMass, well, a big reason for that is they've taken 8 three-point shots. They're a 29% three-point shooting team. But give credit to Providence's defense that is right now forcing UMass to take shots that they do not want to take.
LaDante Henson, to put it in perspective, has 10 points. UMass as a team has 11. Derek Kellogg has already called 2 timeouts. He's tried changing up his unit on the floor. What else can he do?
Well, I think the big thing here really is the fact that Providence has been way too physical for UMass, and that's a tough thing for any coach to try to change it around. You can't make your team more physical, so you have to concentrate on boxing out more, and I think be a little bit more patient on offense, slow this game down a little bit, and get the ball into the lane. He's your best player, 14 points a game. You got to get him the ball more, and maybe he'll start drawing fouls. Because the other thing is UMass had the most free throw attempts in the nation coming into this game. Right now from the free throw line, 0 for 2 for the game.
Got to drive to the rim.
Haven't been able to because of the great help that Providence has been giving. Now there's a good drive there.
And Gordon converts. Western Kentucky transfer.
And that may be the other thing that Derek Kellogg's been telling his team. We got to start driving it, guys. We usually go to the foul line. We're not going to go to the foul line and shoot and jump.
Point guard to point guard give, disrupted by Hines. Dipsy-do, put it home.
Give Derek Kellogg credit. These guys came out after that timeout. I don't know what he said, but you see a little bit more fire in them. They drove it once, and then they stole it.
7 unanswered for the Minutemen. Benzel. Help from Elaine, jarred it free. Now the deflection. Hines, stop and pop.
I think it truly needs a timeout here.
9 unanswered by UMass to slim it to 5.
And you know, UMass does force 14 turnovers a game, so they do like to double and trap. They got him in the corner a couple of times, forced 2 turnovers. They got baskets out of it.
Benton popping through the double. Oh, creative score.
Wow, not easy.
He matches up with so many different body types. Yet his skills still shine through as the twine snaps for Zach Coleman and Ed Cooley. Here's your words. A 4-point difference, the first timeout called by the Friars.
Well, take a look at LaDante Henton here when he catches the ball. Go ahead, roll it from there. You're going to see Henton catch it. Now let's see what happens with this trap here. They double him. It looks like they're going to be ready to help stop it. And then he just steps through. That's not a good double team there. If you're going to help on that, you must get your legs together and not let him split that little trap there.
Get the fastest scores, updates for UMass, Providence, and all the teams with the CBS Sports app. The fastest app for sports fans. Download the CBS Sports app right now. LaDante Henton does a 1-hour workout by himself before each practice. Providence alumnus, former NBA man God Shamgod, one of the great names in the game. Now an assistant with the program, works him out, puts him through a pretty rigorous physical test.
Yeah, he put us through a couple of rigorous tests when I was coaching at Villanova, too.
Done the no-look. Lindsay off the load-up.
Wow. I'd say I love these freshmen. I know Bentel has not played great so far, but Lindsay looks really good.
A recruiting class that was just outside the top 25 of the country for most of the experts.
And one of the best was Rodney Bullock is out for the season.
Leg injury suffered. Second time that he's missed a year. That's off Lilane.
I mean, they've had guys miss big chunks of time. You look at Chris Dunn, how many games he's only played in the last 2 years. So they've had some bad luck when it comes to injuries, too. So give Ed Cooley more credit for the job he's done, and everything hasn't gone perfect.
And last year, he needed Bryce Cotton to play nearly 40 minutes per game. A slew of overtime affairs inflated that a bit. This year, Henton, third in the Big East in minutes per contest. Bentel. Perhaps not the look you wanted. Lilane, the rebound. Gordon darts in, can't hit the floater. DeRozier's gets dirty on the floor. Providence basketball.
And that's the other thing that UMass can do in this game is if they rebound better, now they can push the ball and maybe get some easier looks in transition so they don't have to set up all the time. Now that the rebounding is picked up a little bit, they're getting some better looks. Yeah, I think that was off UMass. And there's that flex cut again. And they run it very tight. I remember Al Skinner, they used to run it elbow to elbow, and they made sure they were going to run a tight flex.
DeRozier's hit. Lilane's got 2. Lindsay got that 3, and the Friars have a 7-point edge. Holiday Hoops in Providence, 27-20. Friars lead the Minutemen. Coming up, AT&T at the half. We'll take a look at some of this season's big upsets, along with coaches, top players in the country. Break down the opening stanza. All that and more coming up on AT&T at the half. That guy knows, Coach. Have you been naughty or nice this year?
I think I've been nice. I'm usually nice. Naughty's the rest of the family. I don't know if they deserve their getting on with each other. That's all I need to say now.
Hopefully these young guys will
be
treated well. The Friars, certainly, Friar Dom always nice. But not a great start for the UMass Minutemen, who have closed the gap a little bit Rebounding is picked up, but a foul picked up right before the timeout of the floor. Caddy Lalane now has 2 personals, and you assume he'll sit for the rest of this first half.
Yeah, I think with this late in the half, you know, if you get 2 with 12 minutes to go, then I think you should play again. But at this point, I think they got to try, and Derek Kellogg has to hope they can keep it here at 7, 6, 8, with him sitting out the rest of the half.
Rozier's a 67% shooter. Frustrated Lalane, senior out of Orlando, Florida. Tornado averages a double-double on the Pine. And the deficit has ballooned to 9 once again for the Minutemen.
And it's one thing to play without Lalane. The biggest problem is they really don't have a really good sub for him.
Bergantino has done that. The double screen. Some staggered movement on the trail.
You'll see a lot of freshmen struggle with screening. That was clearly a moving screen.
It's number 1 on Coleman. Rebounding margin currently favoring the Friars by 6. Dunn behind the DeRozier screen. 3 goggles raised up.
That was a great screen-to-screener play, we call that.
Bergantino picks. Coleman saves it. UMass ball, 8 seconds to shoot. UMass wants a sub. Maxi Esho returns. Coleman out.
Esho really has to get into this game a little bit. They need him. He's their other senior that's been so good all year.
Lost to the corner. 6 to shoot. Esho spent 2 years as the 6th man. Now the starting 4 for UMass. A step on the sideline with 4 to shoot gives Providence the basketball.
Yeah. Earl Watson all over that one.
C.J. Anderson has entered for UMass. DeRozier against Bergantino, the backup big attack. Oh, the follow! What a move to the rafters by Chris Dunn.
That's your point guard making that play. Wow. Ed Cooley told me he was going to send a lot of guys to the glass. That time, Dunn going to the glass.
10 unanswered. Bergantino hit up high on the way up.
Let's watch and see where Dunn comes from here. They get the ball in the DeRozier's. Clearly, there was no box out there.
There are now 7 fouls on the Friars, so we have bonus rest of the way. 2-shot situation for Bergantino. Ed Cooley said, though, that Chris Dunn has made the biggest in-season leaps among those on his team.
Let's take a look and we can see where Dunn comes. Oh, well, Trey Davis doesn't even look for him. Trey Davis was on him. And that's what kids do, especially guards, because they're not used to rebounding. The ball gets passed inside. He turns his head and looks at DeRozier and doesn't see Dunn come flying in.
By the way, that foul means 2 on Jalen Lindsey. The game's had that kind of a feel, though. There have been so many times where Providence has caught UMass seemingly unaware. Dunn picks the pocket.
There you go, John. I think that was unaware.
Penton. Left hand, no. And UMass has numbers.
Ed Cooley, that's one you wanted.
He's got it.
He wanted it, he got it. That's not what he wanted, though. He did not want the ball. He wanted a basket.
Unfortunately, he does not have possession either. He was a good player in his day. Three-time captain at Division II Stonehill.
I joke with him. He was Division II, but I was Division III player. He was a little better.
Fairly static ball movement from UMass.
Yeah, the half-court offense has not been good. They've been at their best when they've been making steals, getting out in transition, or driving it.
Denied by DeRozier's third look, a foul. UMass without a point since the 5:16 mark.
They've been kind of at their best there driving the ball. DeRozier's got to get that rebound. Bergantino, a good job keeping it alive. But, you know, UMass usually scores almost 21 points a game from the free throw line. That is their first point from the free throw line in the game.
Quite telling for Derek Kellogg's team. The other positive, though, while UMass is just 1 of 5 at the stripe, LaDontae Henton has just gone to the bench. Benzel takes his spot. That foul was on Henton. He has 2. .84% free throw shooter, 5th best in the A10. Makes good, and 52.3 seconds left. Here come the Friars. Lindsay.
Oh, I like this kid. What a stroke he's got.
A 40% outside shooter. Mr. Basketball at his native Tennessee. 5-second approximate differential here, shot to game clock. What are you looking for, Coach?
They want to just get as good a shot as they can. If they can throw it inside, they don't really have their inside guys in the game. Esho really has been non-existent. Got to drive it, try and get to the foul line maybe.
Clark lost it, regains his heave. And a foul with 4.2 seconds. This score, by the way, the largest lead that Providence has enjoyed on the game. Gaddy Lillane frustrated and foul trouble. His replacement, Bergantino, at the stripe. 0 for 3 at the line on the season entering today. Harris and Hinton return. Hinton back with 2 fouls here, Coach?
Because of the offense. I mean, the only thing you worry about is him taking a charge, but obviously Providence is going to try and score on this last possession here. That's why he's back in the game. But if he gets a charge, Ed Cooley will definitely be beating himself in the head.
Bergantino gets his first 2 makes after misfiring on his first 6 attempts of the season.
Let's see if there's some kind of a set play here. They're going to try and, they're going to run a set play here. Special situation. Oh, that's a terrible pass.
UMass could have a look. Davis leans into DeRozier's, no call. Backboard and halftime hits. Ed Cooley's team leading 37-24. And the Friars 7-0 and leading at halftime. Your reaction to this first stanza?
Well, I think the physicality of Providence really hurt UMass. UMass wasn't able to force enough turnovers to get in transition. They didn't rebound to get in transition. Half-court offense not real good right now. That's why they're down 13 points.
Santa Claus seems to be on the Friars' side. They have the edge over UMass. The end of the first stanza, a 37-24 score. Stay tuned for AT&T at the half. You're watching college basketball on CBS Sports Network, the 24-hour home of CBS Sports. Providence leading UMass 37-24, second half about to get underway. But first, let's review part of the story of the first half, giving the ball away UMass handed points to Providence.
Well, 10 turnovers by UMass in a half. They averaged over 14 a game, and 11 points Providence scored off those 10 turnovers. So one of the things that we talked about before the game started, UMass couldn't turn the ball over. They have turned the ball over, and this has really helped Providence get out in transition and get some easy baskets. And then you couple that with these great offensive rebounding, and you have a recipe for disaster if you're UMass. On the other hand, we talked about also UMass trying to get to the foul line, which was so important for them. They've only taken 8 free throws and have 4 points from the foul line. So right now, the two things that we honed in on before the game, not really happening for UMass, either one, and that's why they're down 13.
See the point totals there. Coleman off the bench with 6 points in 7 minutes. No teammate has more than 4, while Henton with a dozen, 5 of 10 from the field. UMass as a team has made 9 field goals.
And Derek is very direct to his team. I would have been a little more direct in the locker room, because I would have said, Caddy Lalane and Max Esho, 2 seniors, you guys better go out there and play. When he was referring to A players, he was referring to those 2 guys. Those 2 guys need to get something done for you, or you're not going to have a chance.
Caddy Lalane hurt by foul trouble, made his only shot attempt, but turned it over once, played 13 minutes. Maxi Esho, 1 of 6 shooting with 2 giveaways. Take a look again at the keys to the game. You talked about it, the turnover number at 10, and the Minutemen with 8 free throw shots and only 4 makes.
And not only with those 10 turnovers, the worst thing is they led to 11 points, and then Providence had to keep UMass off the foul line. Not only have they done it, but they've had pretty good free throw defense. UMass only shooting 50% for the game from the foul line.
If you can coach that, I think.
Yeah, that's a good one.
Backdoor Bentel. Esho has the ball.
It's like trying to play defense against another golfer. Doesn't really happen too much.
This UMass team has handled halftime deficits reasonably well this year. And that's in part because UMass has struggled so significantly in first half.
But take a look how LaDonte Henton, when you get a chance, is guarding Derek Gordon. Derek Gordon, again, hasn't made a three-point shot in 2 years. Henton is playing 8 feet off of him. It's very hard to drive the ball and get in the lane if your man is not guarding you. Players want to be guarded. That gives you an opportunity to drive it. That's why Gordon's not getting the opportunities, so they're playing way off of him.
A foul, by the way, to Lindsay, his 3rd, the double on Lalane. Esho tried to help out. Dunn says thank you very much. Henton the other end, slapped away by Hines.
Ed Cooley told me before the game that they were going to go after Caddy Lalane in 2 different ways. That was an example right there. They threw it to him. Derek Kellogg wanted him to get the ball early. They threw it. Aggressive double team forces the turnover.
The custom here in Providence started just last year. Everyone stands until the first point scored in each half. Mostly Friar fan base that populates this building. Standing up, Dunn. Can't help him sit down there. Lalane's got it. Hines. Right there on the spot, Derek Gordon.
You know what? But that was transition, and they got a chance to get an opportunistic basket because they pushed the ball down the floor. That's what UMass has been at their best for the last few years. This year, there's no Chaz Williams.
Bentel. Second look.
Ed Cooley believes that Bentel can really be a tough player. When you look at the body on him.
Said he's usually their best player in practice. Called him a ferocious rebounder and a tough defender.
There's the aggressive double team. A great job by Esho cutting to the basket there. Providence late rotating.
Maxi Esho, his team leading 13th dunk. He's an aerial threat. Lindsay playing with 3 fouls. Henton. When he gets to that spot, you might as well count the basket.
And you know, lefties around the basket, that's why it always helps for big guys, and not that he's a big guy, but for guys around the basket to be able to use both hands really helps.
Davis. 3-point woes continue. Nice no look, and Henton left hand again off glass. The lane couldn't handle it. UMass got a little too fast. Another brilliant no-look and a blocking foul. Trey Davis has his first.
That's close. I thought Trey Davis might have been there. I'm not messing with Kersey, though. I don't mess around with Kersey.
Referee Brian Kersey, an ACC official, along with Jeff Clark, Earl Walton. Kersey worked some big-time national games at UConn Duke just a few days ago.
Well, all three of these guys did a lot of my games over the years.
You had a chance to catch up a bit before the game.
Yeah, it was nice to me
yourself. Not then?
No, I said, you know what? All you guys are nice to me now. And they said, you know why? I said, why? Because you're nice to us. I said, oh, I guess that's a good point.
Benton makes good at the stripe.
And Providence back in this zone. The zone has really been, you know, the changing of defenses has been tough on UMass. Not able to get any kind of a flow in the half court.
That's where the loss of Chaz Williams rings out.
That's a big loss. He was a terrific player.
Hines, the zigzagging, great feed, Lane reverse it home and the foul.
Good things happen when you get in the lane, but that was an example of Bentel. They're playing the zone, and you're going to see here, he doesn't really see what's going on behind him. You can't allow, when you play a zone, the most important thing for your backline guys in particular is that they're constantly turning their heads, looking for people coming from behind. That's an example of where Bentel, that's why he's out of the game, kind of got lost. The lane sneaks from behind, and they score.
He's got 2 fouls. DeRozier's got a rebound. Harris, who had been the usual starter, takes Bentel's place. He hasn't been gun shy. On the floor on the drive. Coleman with 2.
Yeah, that's a foul. Oh, set play for the lob. UMass did a great job of defending.
Help from the lane. Second look, Hinton.
You know, and Jabari Hines was on Hinton to start. That's really a tough matchup.
Clark weaves his way to the rim. Harris beats the field. How does that happen?
Nothing will drive you nuts more as a coach than to score and then to give up a transition basket right after that on your made basket. UMass has their better perimeter shooting team in the game right now. Esho really on the bench, hadn't done much.
Lane, good feed with darting Coleman, and he gets hit. A timeout on the floor. LaDante Henson leads all scorers. His creative wizardry on display in his Friars, up 17.
Providence Friars leading UMass 49-32, but here's an example of how you can counteract the double in the post. You're going to see Max Esho, their 4-man for UMass, throwing the ball into Caddy Lane right here as we run it. The ball goes into the lane. Now hold, stop. Now it's a double team. Big to big double team, but nobody picks up Esho cutting to the basket. These guys are standing on the weak side of the floor instead of picking up the cutter. So Providence not doing a good job of rotating to the guy whose man left him to double team in the low post.
And UMass perhaps on the poise, the edge of turning things around. That's been the script this year. First halves have been woeful. They have a winning record, though, when trailing at halftime.
Well, they're going to be hard-pressed to get a winning record in this game, trailing at halftime, because right now they have not started the second half the way they really needed to.
They get a point at the stripe from Zach Coleman. Redshirt freshman who sat last year, had a stress fracture in his leg in the preseason.
I think Coleman and Clark are going to be very good players for UMass.
UMass team, the preseason number 4 pick in the 14-team Atlantic 10. Providence, the number 5 choice in the now 10-team Big East.
Little zone for UMass now. Good change by Derek Kellogg.
Dunn recognizing Harris. Henton in the corner. Tipped in. DeRozier will take those points.
Yeah, I don't understand why a kid has to put his hand up in the air. That, you know what I mean? Who cares? We score. They're going to give it to one of us. As long as they don't give it to the team in red, we're okay. DeRozier didn't have to put his hand up there. Little thing like that drives me nuts.
The ball rolling off the foot of a big man, I'm sure frustrating as well. Harris catch and shoot. Rejected hard. The no look to Dunn. Leaves for Harris, squirts 5-hole. Harris twisting to the rim, changes hands. Nice finish.
It's a pretty good move. I would have liked to have seen him kick it out. I thought he had to do a lot there to get that basket off.
Timeout means a timeout of the floor. Tyler Harris puts it home. Friars live it easy.
Friars have the Minutemen down 20 here in the second half, but we're just going to have some fun with Carson DeRozier here. Now, yes, UMass tips that ball in, but he's got to put his hand up in the air that he scored. Who can't? I think he knows the rule that even though UMass scored, the points go to Providence since it was in that basket. I think he knows that. So why does it even matter that he's got to put his hand up in the air? It's 2 points for the team in white.
Friars get it as we revisit the AT&T Fast Analysis. The team in red, led by Caddy Lalane, averages nearly a double-double. He's got 4 and 3 as it stands. LaDante Henton having one of his better days of the season.
I think Caddy Lalane was one of those A guys that Derek Kellogg referred to at halftime that have to play like A guys, and him and Maxi Esho have not, whereas LaDante Henton has played like an A guy from the beginning of this game.
And not even just on the offensive end. Consider this, Providence, of the last 9 made buckets, 7 have come in the paint against the UMass big men. Pascal in, he's the center. The back line mid-man. Lots of length. Esho drives on him. Lifted the feet.
He's completely out of sync. I mean, that was like a travel of a freshman player, not of a senior. I mean, that's like playing like halfback. That's running with the ball.
That's 14 turnovers now. That's the average per game. We have 14 minutes to go. Ticky-tack contact.
That's a foul. You know, that's what they talked about last. That's a classic example of a hand check that they were talking about getting out of the game, and that was a clear foul.
Trey Davis with 2. Lob, Pascal! Oh my!
I mean, I think UMass fell asleep a bit there, but I don't know if they could have done anything about that with the size that they have in the game.
He's become a bigger part of the program. Last couple of games, he's averaged 7 points and 3.5 rebounds per.
I like it. He has tremendous potential, and I talked about earlier, hands. This kid can catch the ball. If you're a big guy, you have to have hands.
Esho driving, runs over Pascal, blocking foul. What a luxury to have, though, a 7-footer off the bench to replace a 7-footer, the first pair of 7-footers in program history.
Wow, that's, I don't know about that.
Esho, a 67% free throw shooter. He exploded at the start of the season, back-to-back 20-point games against Siena and Boston College. It's been a little up and down since.
You know, he was not that he's not a good starter, but he was a terrific sub. I mean, to have a guy like this as your 6th man, which he was for a lot of his time there. And now, you know, as a senior, he's got to step up. And sure, there's going to be games like this, there's no doubt, but You're just disappointed when it happens to a Seton.
Surprised to see that Lane sat, Bergantino's back.
You know, what has he done? I think, you know, it's not a bad thing right now. You're down 22 points. You got to send a message, too.
The extra look thanks to the Pascal Lane violation. There's Lane.
And this game is not over, but if they don't start playing, it is.
That was the message Derek Kellogg had at halftime. You can get back into this game, but some necessary elements have not yet emerged. Harris. Cartwright.
Oh, that was Cartwright.
A foul. This contest, the last scheduled matchup between these programs. The event of the Puerto Rico tip-off a couple of years ago. Last season played in Amherst. This is the back end of a home-and-home. Derek Kellogg, scheduled very tough this year. His schedule, depending upon what metric you go by, ranks somewhere between 10th to 15th in the country.
Yeah, they played a great out-of-conference schedule. But, you know, their problem has been kind of what the A-10's problem has been this year as opposed to last year. Last year they had a lot of great wins in the non-conference season. This year, the league hasn't had as many, and that hurts you during the season in terms of where do you get your quality wins from now when you start the regular season. Even VCU hasn't been great in this preseason like they usually are.
Hinton, the two offline. Cartwright flat-footed finds it at the top of the key. Harris screaming for it. Done off the bounce. 4 Minutemen converge and slap it out of play. Well, last year, the A-10 got 6 teams in the NCAA tournament. This year, that's not nearly as likely, and there you can see the infancy of conference play after Iona.
You know, the problem is that VCU hasn't had a great preseason. GW, that was picked second in the league, hasn't had a great preseason. And on top of it, they've lost the Big East teams. You know, Seton Hall beat GW. Seton Hall was picked down in the Big East, even though they're having a great year. They only have 1 loss.
Hinton, stroking.
When these two leagues play each other, it's very important because these are the 2 best basketball leagues that don't have football.
Geographically, there's a lot of overlap, including this matchup. Dyson's end line look goes to Cartwright. Great thread of the needle, and Harris couldn't handle it. Clark attacking. Gets hit by Cartwright. We get hit by time out of the floor. Providence, a very comfortable advantage, 58-36. Providence enjoys its biggest advantage on the game, 58-36. We invite you to join the best drivers in off-road short course racing as they go head-to-head and bumper-to-bumper. It's Lucas Oil Racing tomorrow at 8 Eastern, part of CBS Sports Spectacular on CBS Sports Network. As that comes your way tomorrow, it's the speed demon nature of UMass's transition game contained dramatically. Heck of an effort by Providence today. Worth noting, though, the foul that brought about the time out of the floor. Number 6 already on the half against Providence. And that is the window that UMass usually opens when it gets back into second half games.
And that's what it is for them. You know, that's a big part of what they do. And, you know, their ability to get to the free throw line is because of their ability to slash in the open floor. If you're playing good teams in half court, you're not going to be able to slash because their defense won't allow you to get into the cracks and seams because of the help that they have. So UMass has to continue to try and get it up and down and try to slash in transition.
Top 5 free throw shooter in the A-10 converts. Still no Caddy Lane. He's on the bench. Only 2 fouls, but limited productivity.
And I think Providence has to continue to attack.
There is the window to get stagnated and done. That's a goaltend. Extra pass by Henton, and the sixth sense displayed there.
They like to run. That was a set play coming out of that timeout. I've seen them run that before for Dunn. You're going to see right here. Watch number 3, Dunn. Stop it. What happens is there's no help in the lane here, and Trey Davis is trailing the play. So what happens? No pressure on the ball. Good cut by Dunn.
Here's Dunn again. Two-handed jam. Having fun out there.
With this kind of lead, it's a lot more fun for the coach, too, believe me.
UMass deep to its bench. Anderson getting minutes currently.
I think this Providence team is an NCAA tournament team. Yes, they beat Notre Dame, who's an NCAA team. The loss to Brown here hurts. Brown made 11 threes in that game.
Harris with Lindsay. Sink it. Harris to the line.
This kid's got talent. And not much there, but Harris, 6'7", long, could put the ball on the floor, as you saw there very well. A decent three-point shooter. This kid has ability.
Leads the team in rebounding. He comes from a basketball family. His brother Tobias played at Tennessee, since then to the NBA with the Bucks and the Magic. It all started with their older sister, Tasia, part of a Sweet 16 run at St. John's. There's hope that the three brothers might at one point play in the NBA together.
Well, I'm not saying he can't. He's got to listen every word that man says on the bench, and then he'll have a chance.
UMass without a field goal for more than 5 minutes. Esho, misfire, Providence ball. Timeout again called by UMass. Derek Kellogg has one left with 10 minutes and 19 seconds remaining.
You know what? Honestly, some other people wouldn't have any left by now if the way their team played like this. So, you know, you don't want to finish a game getting drilled and have your timeouts left. You should have used them all, and Derek, I'm sure, is going to end up using them all.
Started 5-1 with a win over Boston College, beat Florida State, lost to Notre Dame. Since then, losses in 3 of 4 at Harvard, very good team. At LSU, very good team. Florida Gulf Coast had a great game.
Yeah, no, their losses are not bad, but you know the problem is what they're being exposed today a little bit by a very good team, mind you. In terms of their lack of size, especially on the perimeter, I think that hurt a little bit. Their guards are small. Seth Berger, I'm not saying Seth Berger was a great scorer, but he gave them a little more size in terms of their perimeter game. So they have some issues here that they have to continue to work on, like most teams do. But they are playing a very, very good basketball team.
This Providence team 8-3, 6-1 in this building. Harris. And one yet again.
I mean, that's a little easy. Trey Davis kind of walked away from that. You know, you got one thing you always want. You want your guys to compete all the way through. You know, frustration, everybody's frustrated on the UMass bench. Coaches, players, everybody. But you have to fight through the frustration and go out there and play.
To think the last 2 matchups went to overtime, decided by buzzer beating or 1 second left tip-ins. Esho symbolizes the day in many ways. Dunn. The same for Providence. An easy dance to the cup.
I love Chris Dunn. I think he could be terrific. And good size. He can shoot the ball.
Keep in mind that he's gliding up and down the floor. He was so ill yesterday, he did not practice, pouring orange juice down his throat in street clothes.
And really, he's a freshman because he really hardly played any games his first 2 years here. So, you know, unfortunately, he had a shoulder surgery. That kept him out the entire season.
Harris for 3. That's number 4 on Jalen Lindsey.
And you're going to see Providence in transition here. The ball in the middle of the floor, which is where you want it, and then done with just a very, very nice finish.
McDonald's All-American. He was one of the country's top point guard recruits. Has sophomore eligibility despite essentially missing 2 years. And then first shoulder surgery in July of 2012, and then had it transpire again a season ago. And you knew he was special from the start. 13 assists in his debut against Colgate. Tied the freshman record. Had 14 dimes this year in the Navy game. Esho fouled by Chukwu. The Rochers returns. Providence up 70-42. This Providence team has not hit 90 this year. Scored 88 in that Navy contest as Chukwu takes a seat.
And this building has not been like I remember it. And I'm not saying that people aren't into it, but just it's been so methodical what Providence has done. They kind of haven't had to get into it.
There's been little doubt about this game for most of the day. Gordon trying to get creative. Providence ball. UMass went to the tournament last year. That was the first time in 16 seasons. Providence did so for the first time in a decade. And they are showing signs of a team that's capable of returning.
Yeah, they've got a long way to go, but the good thing for them is that they'll have a lot of chances for quality wins within the league.
Done. Great no look. Even fooled Harris. Time out on the floor. Providence crushing UMass. A 70-43 score. Holiday Hoops. Providence comfortably ahead, 70-43. Welcome back to the Dunkin Donuts Center. John Sadak, the head coach. Steve Lapis, as we recap the AT&T game summary.
Well, I think a key number there is the 15 offensive rebounds because that set a tone very early in this game. Providence was missing shots at point-blank range and then just continued to go get it and go get it. And I think they set the tone in this game of they're going to be more physical, and their physicality really hurt UMass.
They've led by as many as 32. Derek Kellogg has done all he can, changing his personnel, calling timeouts, only has one left at this stage.
You know, the A, when you go on the road especially, the A players have to get it done for you because the freshmen, as good as they're going to be, and I think the two freshmen that have played a lot in this game are going to be very good players, but it's not up to them. You know what I mean? It's up to Esho. It's up to Lelane. It's up to Trey Davis. Those are the guys that got to get it done for you. They just, you know, they just didn't do it today.
Lelane, after extended time on the bench. Good feed to Esho. The reverse gets hit. He'll go to the strike. This Providence team leads the all-time series 22-7. That includes a 10-2 mark here in this building.
Well, that's the second time that they've lost Esho there. On that time he cut from the baseline before he cut from outside.
That foul now 9 on Providence, so 2 shots on each subsequent infraction. Ed Cooley knows the margin is significant, but you still coach those moments, right?
Oh, yeah, of course. This game going on, we're coaching, you're playing.
UMass changing things up here?
Well, they've tried this zone a little bit before. Nice screen on the baseline there. See, the Roach's got to go up strong. That was a good screen, though. Nice set play by Ed Cooley there against the zone.
It's Providence's active version of it. Esho flashing high post, hit by Henton.
You're going to watch here on the baseline. Okay, you can run it from there. Watch the screen that comes right there. Bentel sets that nice screen in the bottom of the zone for DeRozier, who comes across and ends up getting a layup.
How much of a factor has the pure size been today?
Oh, big factor. Not only the size inside, where Providence is bigger and more physical, but the perimeter size. You know, the Chris Dunns, LaDontae Henton. These guys are big. Lindsey. I mean, these guys are all, I mean, Dunn is 6'3", 6'4". The other two are 6'6", 6'7". The UMass guards are 5'11". And that'd be Jabari Hines and Trey Davis. Tough. And even Eric Gordon's only about 6'3". That's how big Providence's point guard is.
Henton. Alley-oop. Ill-timed. He was looking for the 6'3" Derek Gordon, who sprinted on the end line. Dante Clark subs back in for UMass. What are the big things you're looking for on each side at this stage, granted the margin?
You know, you want guys to continue to run the things that you want to run. You want guys to, you know, to do the things that you're teaching conceptually in practice. But we also have to understand that if a guy plays good in this situation, it doesn't necessarily mean that he's going to be a good player for you. But at least it's a start.
Esho has poked his head out here in these last few minutes. Off the fake, finish in the foul.
You know, Esho's come alive a little bit here at the end, but, you know, you needed this in the first half. You needed this at the start of the second half.
DeRozier's with 3. The close of non-conference play around the corner. This Providence club has Miami. Talk about upsets. Miami was dealt one just yesterday by Eastern Kentucky.
Completely drilled at home.
As Providence calls timeout. That'll be in Brooklyn at Barclays Center. That's the non-conference finale, and then Big East play comes on New Year's Eve against Creighton. Here's the full look at the upcoming contests, then a journey to Marquette, a trip to a ranked Butler squad. That's a CBS Sports Network game in Georgetown. Big East much improved here in year 2 of the 10-team setup.
That's a tough run there. I mean, a lot of what Providence is going to do is going to be dictated by this stretch here. This is a big stretch for them.
Good Miami team, a Creighton Blue Jay squad that was among the best in the league a season ago. LaDontae Henton has starred in many of the big wins. He had a huge game against Notre Dame. Career high 38. Had the game-winning free throws with 14 seconds left. And he has a chance to do something that few have done. 1,000 points, 1,000 rebounds.
That's
would be
really hard to do.
The 7th in program history. One of your former contemporaries, John Thompson, on that short list of Flyers who have done it.
UMass taking a lot of free throws now, not settling for three-point shots.
The fake for Lillane, but he could not convert. Henton hit. Ned Cooley inspired courtside. He still wants focus and execution from his team.
Yeah, of course, and of course you have to continue to demand that. But you also understand when you're sitting there talking to your assistants, it's not the easiest thing to do when you're doing this to somebody else, to maintain that same intensity, but you do have to demand it. But you kind of understand it when it's not there.
Caddy Lillane now with 3 fouls. And Cooley in year number 4 with Providence. Derek Kellogg, in his 7th campaign, when he was a player, UMass won the A-10 every year. Made the tournament every year. Sweet 16 as a freshman, Elite 8 as a senior.
I don't think Ed Cooley's going to be happy. I think dribble penetration has really gotten, their defense has gotten extremely sloppy here.
There were moments that he was frustrated yesterday in practice. Bentel popping a 3. Swish! Pretty poor. He was 4 of 10 from outside of the season entering this game.
That big kid can shoot the ball a little bit. That was a great rotation there.
It is still a learning process for many of the young players on the Providence squad, which has a mix of some veterans, led by Hinton, of course, but has infused a ton of youth. It's been a combination of blue chippers like Dunn, and also some found diamonds in the rough. Ed Cooley, a very aggressive recruiter, even as a head coach.
I'm telling you, that's what they did at BC. They were the kings of diamonds in the rough. I don't know why I can't think of. I'm missing one of the good ones who plays for the Phoenix. He was traded. He was on the Phoenix Suns for the last 2 years. Just got traded. I don't know why it's escaping me now. Jared Dudley. Besides Greg Smith, those were two that nobody at the high level even wanted. They played both. Jared Dudley's still in the NBA.
Dunn, perhaps has similar aspirations, gets the friendly bounce. Bryce Cotton, who was the dynamic playmaker a year ago, most outstanding player, Dave Gavitt Award winner in the Big East tournament last year. The lane for 3. Won by Hinton. He's now in the D League. Did not get drafted. Dunn, though, has a lot more size than Cotton did.
Yes, and more of a point. Cotton was tremendous. He played, first of all, he averaged like 39 minutes a game last year. I don't know how, he probably didn't have to practice that much.
Bentel, oh, if Lane was not there, that rim would have been annihilated. UMass ball, time out of the floor. Chris Dunn and company cruising, 78-54.
College basketball on CBS Sports Network is being brought to you by AT&T, mobilizing your world, and by Sonic's new boneless chicken wings.
The road to the Final Four continues right here on CBS Sports Network. The Golden Eagles of Oral Roberts take on junior forward Shaq Goodwin and the Memphis Tigers. That's coming up next only on the 24-hour home of CBS Sports. Welcome on back. Two teams that went dancing a year ago. Only one has pep at the step today. Clark sinks one. John Sadak, the coach, Steve Lapis, glad to be with you. It's Providence. Another statement-type victory. This UMass team, a solid one, challenged by a difficult schedule. This has been an impressive performance.
Yeah, I mean, this UMass team has potential. You know what I mean? Just because they have a performance like this today, and Derek knows they have to get better and better. There's got things, you know, this can show you things that you have to continue to work on.
Providence has made more field goals today than any game all season. 32 made buckets. And a chance to have the first 90-plus point performance of the campaign.
Clark's going to be a good player.
Hinton flashing. Dunn feeds him for 3. 27 for LaDontae Hinton.
He's improved so much from his freshman year, and that's the other thing when you look at with a coach. Do the guys get better? I think clearly Ed Cooley's guys get a lot better.
Providence sending the deep reserves to the table to sub in. The crowd reacts as Bentel misses. And a foul. Ted Bancroft, Tyree Chambers, Tom Planek. A very deep end of the bench, I should say. Gets a chance for some time on the floor. Dunn and company. A spirited effort today. Dante Henton averages nearly 19. That's second best in the Big East. 27 today for the man who was known as Buckets when he was a 7th grader playing on a U16 travel basketball team. They called him that because he was so small he couldn't do anything other than score, but he did that so well, he was on that team.
Well, he definitely can make buckets.
Providence with its share of buckets today. 24-point advantage. Dunn gets a blow. His teammates enjoying the splendor of a huge margin. Tyree Chambers, who has the ball, 14. He's the guy in this rotation that could wind up evolving into getting some time. A freshman who's 20 years old. His father in the military, he was born in Germany. He missed the first 10 games due to a stress fracture, and he's essentially going through camp right now.
Yeah, and you know, when you miss that kind of time as a young player, it becomes tough to catch up.
So junior Lumumba, the Cleveland State transfer, sat out last year, a native of Montreal, Quebec. .85-60. High water mark this year for Providence, 88 in the Navy game on November 20th. Coleman loading up, raining down. And a timeout, the final one for UMass. The booze chorus down.
You know, but I think he wants to sub some guys.
Game time, still teaching time. LaDante Henton, though, a big part of this huge disparity. 27 points today.
Yeah, he was terrific. He made threes. He scored in the post. He scored in transition. You know, when you have a senior like this that is looking to bring it every single time, it just makes a tremendous difference. That's the kind of player LaDante Henton is. He's also a tribute to Ed Cooley, because look how much better he is from his freshman year. This is a kid that Michigan State, he's from Lansing, Michigan. Michigan State did not recruit him, yet he comes into a big-time situation and really has produced.
Originally committed to Dayton, and then Brian Gregory left for Georgia Tech. So he became Ed Cooley's first recruit. Coach told us, I love that young man. He's tough. I would go to war with him. And he laid out the claim that he is the most underrated player in the country.
Well, you know, he's probably up there. You know, when you're averaging almost 19 points a game and a lot of people don't talk about you, you could be right.
Second leading scorer in the Big East. Deep three, Bancroft. That's pretty much what he does. All but one of his field goal tries this year have been threes. Clark, nice crossover. Dyson, under a minute. Friars well on their way to a 9th win against 3 losses. Last year they went 10-3 in non-conference. They'll have a chance to do that again. They'll face Miami on Monday. The deep three. Misfire by Dyson. Timer turned off.
Very impressive win for Providence today. I think Ed Cooley has to be really proud and really happy. And he's getting the fans into it right now, which I can't blame him.
They come to their feet as the final seconds tick off, and the Providence Friars roast UMass. A 20-point demolition, 85-65. We'll take a break. We'll come back with more. 20-point difference in favor of Providence.